Good evening, everyone. This is your instructor, Frank Plunkett, coming to you from our classroom here at Pierce College. It's about 9:22 p.m. My last students just left, so everybody's really busy. Class normally ends at like 9:30, but everybody's got stuff to do, so we just finished up. And I wanted to give you a brief overview, which will be my new policy proceeding in future classes, although I don't know that I have any of you next session. But we found it's a really good idea to provide a video to share. So I'm going to do that real quick. Like I said, it's 9:22. Hopefully before 9:30 this will be done so that you actually are encouraged to watch it. So this is a platform called Zoom. I can actually give you video. I can share screens. We can have meetings together. It actually can have multiple people. And I am going to schedule a meeting probably over the weekend. So if anybody has questions that you want to speak directly to me or in a group of people, we can nail that down, and it's pretty cool. I used it for a program last week and it was great. But anyway, I told you about that before. So tonight's class, and here's our, and if everybody's seen it, if you come to class, and it looks backwards, I probably should pull it up and share it, but I won't because that'll take time. But that's another thing I can do. I can share my screen, so I can actually share PowerPoints, I can share documents, I can share whatever I'm doing if I want to show you how to do something. So it's really cool. If you need help, this is cool. But anyway, what we did tonight, normally I open the class with a current event. We talked about the new policy on immigration and the potential deportation of a lot of folks that might be here illegally. And that was based upon a Philadelphia Inquirer article today that goes into the topic. Don't just read the headline. You got to read the entire article. There's a lot of good information in it. But we were talking about that because it is a policing issue. And then we talked about a little bit about accountability and ethics and use of force as a review, answering some questions that the folks had from the class. And we also watched a really neat video that one of our students, Lauren Mooney, had shared in one of her assignments, which is all about the importance of training. And I did post that in the appropriate discussion thread. And if you read the announcements, it'll tell you exactly where it is in the course. So we watched that as part of our review, because it goes back to accountability, liability, the importance of training of the officers to prevent injuries or deaths of suspects and cops. So very important, and I would suggest that you watch it because it's really good, and it's based in Philly. Most of it's in Philly with the Philadelphia Police Academy. So if anybody wants to be a Philly cop, you'll see some of the things they do right here in Philly in the academy. So we did that, took any questions about assignments or what have you. Then we moved into chapter 14, which is the chapter that we're working on this week. In your discussion questions, we're talking about technology, less lethal technologies, use of force, or how to avoid use of deadly force through some of these technologies. And, you know, we started talking, we did actually think, pair, share exercise where each person had to come up with 5 different technologies that they were aware of, preferably emerging or newer technologies that are coming out. And each person developed a list. And then the goal was to share with 2 people, share back and forth, discuss the technologies, what they're used for, and then to share with the rest of the class. That's why it's called think, pair, share. So unfortunately, one of the students of the 4 that were here had to take a personal phone call and was out of the room when it was time for the pair. So the 3 of us, or the 3 of them, were just shared with the rest of the class what they came up with, and we developed a list, which you can't see. It's on the whiteboard over there, but I'm going to send it to you later. Probably just take a picture of the whiteboard so you can see some of the technologies that we discussed in class. So we had a really good discussion about those technologies. We have a list of about 15, plus the ones, there's also in the PowerPoint for this class, there's others, some of which we had on the list, others we don't. I did just share in the week 6 discussion 6A my whole playlist with videos with technology and policing or criminal justice, which was something else that we did towards the end of the class. We showed some of the videos from there. They're all there for you to see. You can see some of the various technologies like advanced finger or license plate identification systems, like training systems for shooting, for the use of real intense light systems to disable offenders, tasers. I mean, there's all kind of stuff in that for you to watch. So we had a discussion. Then I went to, and some of you know, I went to the National Constitution Center last night for a presentation, Reshaping Policing in the 21st Century. Really awesome presentation, and they spent a lot of time talking about technology and how technology, the use of technology has grown in policing, and it presents us with a whole lot of issues with regard to appropriate use of these technologies. So it's like a 1 hour video. It's also posted in the course. I would suggest or appreciate it if you watch it. It's really cool to actually be there because then you could ask questions. But second way to do it is to watch the video, because the guy is phenomenal, and he did a great presentation, a lot of great answers to questions. He also has a great book out, which I read or reading. I just bought it. I didn't read it yet. I'm going to read, inform myself, and maybe I'll be so much better next time the policing course runs. Hopefully nobody fails and has to take it over. But anyway, that book is for sale on Amazon for like $18. Last night at the thing, it was $28. If you don't want to buy a book, but you want to read the book, I donated a copy to the Pierce College Library, which should be in the stacks within a couple of days if you're interested in that book that's mentioned in the video. So we watched that video, that's like an hour. Then we were going to look at the videos. We had a discussion of some of the technologies and some of the things that came up in the video. And then, prior to looking at the videos in the technology video playlist that I showed you, we went through the PowerPoint really quick, discussed some of the the different technologies that are there and how they are used today, and how, in my experience, some of them, when they came about initially, how useful they were, and how some of these things really changed how you dealt with things, and were able to catch people that you might never have caught committing crimes or even motor vehicle offenses. One really cool example I had from my police days was when they started using, we have the automated databases and computers in the cars, and we actually had access to the license plate pictures from people. So we had one of my partners stop the guy, and he claimed to be somebody. He gave the name, he gave the date of birth, he gave the whole 9 yards, but he said, "Oh, but I don't have my license with me." Common ploy for somebody who's either suspended or pretending to be somebody else. Well, the neat thing about having a computer in the car, you go back to the car, you run the person by name. Now they had the picture, the license plate, or I'm sorry, the driver's license picture was in the database. Picture pops up, guess what? Different guy. So officer arrests this guy, brings him back to the car, brings up the picture, say, "Who's that?" "Oh, that's my brother." So we were able to get that guy right then and there, as opposed to waiting 6 months for the brother to appear in court after he got a warrant issued for him, and for him to come out and the officer to say, "Well, that's not the guy I stopped." So this technology, definitely cool. DNA, definitely cool. Tracking people down, DNA databases, catching people sooner than we might normally. Fingerprint databases, AFIS, awesome thing. Find out somebody's criminal record, they tell you they're somebody else, maybe they don't have any ID. You run them in AFIS, they've already been arrested before, you come back. I had somebody we arrested once for prostitution who had like 7 different names and was wanted somewhere. So it's pretty cool, because they might have been released, give them a summons and say you come back for court, but there was something else going on. So the technology is pretty cool. So we talked about that, everything is in the PowerPoint. We went over all those things, and I gave my experiences and background in those areas. And then we looked at some of the videos that are in the technology videos. We looked specifically at one from Dallas, where we had a reporter going through a simulated police training with firearms, and he learned some things that he didn't know before about how stressful it is to be in that situation where you don't know what's going to happen. And there's a couple other ones like that in there, so because there's a lot of good firearms training systems that are available. If you don't have the ability to do what Philly does in the academy and have a whole bunch of people playing roles, you can have an operator and the trainee and the computer doing the work for you. So that's pretty cool. Then we just answered any questions people might have about the course, about their quizzes, about anything. One thing, and I think I mentioned this before, but one of the students reminded me tonight, if you go through your quiz and you feel that the answer that you put in there was right, go through and review. My CJ Lab, you can actually go to your quiz and you can review the quiz. And you go through there and you got an answer that's marked wrong. You look it up in a book and you say, the right answer is what I selected. Well, send me an email. Give me the text of the question, because sometimes they come up in different orders. So they might not be the same question number. And I will go back and verify whether or not you actually got it correct. And if you did get it correct based upon what's in the book or what's in the course, I will give you those points so you can raise your grade. You know, sometimes people think they're right and they're wrong, but we do have some errors in the automated test in my CJ lab for this course. So if you find that mistake, just let me know and I will upgrade you with that regard. All right, last thing. If you want to come on campus and meet me, next week's the last week for this course to meet on campus. All of our assignments for the entire course, including your final project, are due no later than March 7th. Keep in mind, especially those of you that, and a couple of you are procrastinating and have not turned in a whole lot of assignments, keep in mind that I also have a deadline. As much as I want to be a nice guy and give people breaks for some personal situations that have come up through the course, understand that I have to post grades within a day or two after that March 7th deadline. So I have to be able to read through everything, sit down in my house, in my home office, read through all your assignments, provide the grade, and then I have to actually put the grade somewhere else in another computer database. So, you know, if you're not going to submit it on time and it gets past the deadline that I have, it winds up being a 0. So make sure that you plan next 2 weeks to get caught up on anything that you're behind on, and make sure you get that project and make that project the best it can be. Couple people, their projects, the draft of their project was really awesome and like a 10-page paper for the draft of the project, and they'll just have to do a little tweaking. But some of you are not close to that and need a lot of work. And some of you are in between, which is what a draft is supposed to be. And you fix it up. I would strongly suggest that if you didn't look at my comments, download the copy of your project that I uploaded back into the system, because I put comments all over stuff to help you, to guide you into what you need to do to make it work. Okay, so that's the end. This week, remember, you have one assignment, and then the 2 discussion questions. Remember, you have to post a substantive, detailed, cited response to each question, not just a couple sentences. Got to be detailed, like writing a little mini paper. And then you have to reply to at least one other student. It's better when we have an ongoing discussion. Some of the things like the body camera discussion was really awesome, and I have to get back in there and clarify a couple things with some folks. But also remember that this week is chapter 14. So if you're taking the quizzes, remember, look at the syllabus. The syllabus tells you what week we're covering which chapter. We're not covering the chapters in order. So make sure that this week when you take the quiz, you're taking the chapter 14 quiz on technology. Before you take that quiz, make sure you review the chapter, review the PowerPoint, because the questions are all coming from those sources. So again, next week's our final meeting. Assignments for this week are due on the 28th, and then assignments from week 7, including your final project, are due March 7th. Hope everybody's doing well. Remember, if you have a problem, you got an issue, you can contact me by phone, by text message, by email, private discussion area, which the school likes because it keeps track of our conversations, so there's no question of he said, she said, and all that kind of stuff. But whatever way you need to contact me, I am here for you. Don't not use that resource because it's beneficial to you. All right, folks, thank you very much. This is the end of the recording, and have a good evening.